At 91, Shirley Jones finally tells the truth about Burt Lancaster. Shirley Jones was born Shirley Mae Jones on March 31, 1934, in Charleroi, Pennsylvania. She grew up in nearby Smithton, a small town that was nothing like the fancy Hollywood world she would later become part of. From when she was little, her parents could tell she had an amazing singing voice, and they made sure she took voice lessons. This early music training helped set her up for a career that would make her one of the most famous singers of her time. Jones got her big break when she was discovered by the famous team Rodgers and Hammerstein, who loved her beautiful, clear singing voice and sweet looks. They gave her a special contract, making her the only singer to ever get this honor from these two famous guys. This led to her first movie role in Oklahoma in 1955, where she played a sweet farm girl named Lori Williams. The movie version of the Broadway show was a huge hit with fans and critics, and Shirley quickly became famous. Her performance showed a mix of innocence and strength that audiences loved, and it started a series of successful musical movies. After Oklahoma, Jones proved she was Hollywood. His favorite good girl with great roles in Carousel in 1956, where she starred with Gordon MacRae, and The Music Man in 1962, where she played librarian Marion Peru with Robert Preston. Both movies showed off not only her singing skills, but also how good she was at playing women who were both sweet and tough. Her role in The Music Man became legendary because it mixed comedy, romance, and songs in a way that perfectly showed her natural charm. However, Shirley Jones didn't want to keep getting cast as the sweet, innocent girl. In 1960, she took on a shocking role in Elmer Gantry with Burt Lancaster, playing Lulu Baines, a woman whose life was ruined by a fake preacher. Jones surprised everyone with how deep and complex her acting was. The role won her an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress, proving she could handle tough dramatic roles and breaking away from a good girl image. This Oscar-winning performance was one of the biggest wins of her career, forever changing how people saw her acting skills. In the 1970s, Shirley started a new part of her fame that made her loved by a completely different group of fans. She played Shirley Partridge, a single mom of 5 musical kids in the popular TV show, The Partridge Family, from 1970 to 1974. The show wasn't just a huge success. It was a cultural sensation, with millions of people watching every week to see the singing Partridge family's adventures. Shirley played the mom with warmth, humor, and quiet strength, balancing comedy and music while keeping the show grounded in motherly love. The show introduced her to a whole new generation of fans and made her reputation as one of TV's most lovable moms solid. In 1975, Shirley Jones made a bold move away from the wholesome, family-friendly image that had defined most of her career by starring in the made-for-TV drama Winner Take All. In this intense and emotional role, Jones played a gambling addict whose destructive habit destroys her life. Far from the happy characters people were used to seeing her play, Jones gave a haunting performance as a woman who not only puts her marriage at risk by secretly stealing money from her trusting husband, but also crosses an even more shocking line, betraying him even more by having an affair with her own bookie. For fans who had loved her as the sweet Marion in The Music Man or the loving mum in The Partridge Family, this daring role was both shocking and fascinating, proving that Jones wasn't afraid to take on darker, more challenging roles that showed the full range of her acting skills. By 1979, Jones made another important career move when she went back to television in a starring role, leading the NBC sitcom Shirley. The show, which was clearly designed to copy the success of The Partridge Family, had her once again as a single mom raising her kids while dealing with everyday life challenges. Even though the idea was similar to her previous show, Shirley tried to be more realistic and heartfelt, focusing less on music and more on how a family sticks together when there's no dad around. Despite Jones's obvious charm and strong acting, the show had trouble finding viewers in a crowded TV world. Halfway through its first season, ratings were disappointing, and NBC decided to cancel the show. While Shirley never had the lasting cultural impact of The Partridge Family, it's still an interesting part of Jones's TV career, an attempt to mix her motherly warmth with a new kind of storytelling. Jones kept surprising audiences. With her range well into the 1990s, she made fans happy with a funny role on The Drew Carey Show, where she played the older woman, girlfriend of Drew's character. Her appearances brought playful, tongue-in-cheek energy to the sitcom, showing she could make fun of her own image while embracing a more modern style of humor. Then, in a nostalgic nod to the role that had made her a TV icon, she played Shirley Partridge again in a fun cameo on That 70s Show in 2000, a moment that thrilled longtime fans who had grown up watching her lead the musical adventures of the Partridge family decades before. But Jones's career wasn't only about comedy or nostalgia. She also proved again and again that she had the dramatic skills to handle deeply emotional material. One of her most praised performances came in the TV movie There Were Times, Dear, where she played a devoted wife, dealing with the heartbreaking decline of her husband, who was suffering from Alzheimer's disease, that in a role that needed both quiet strength and devastating vulnerability, Jones brought raw honesty and emotional depth to the screen, leaving audiences deeply moved. Her performance was so powerful that it earned her an Emmy Award nomination, recognition that showed her ability to go beyond typecasting and deliver work of remarkable power and emotion. On August 5, 1956, Shirley Jones married actor and singer Jack Cassidy, a marriage that brought together two talented and charismatic stars of stage and screen. Cassidy, who was already making a name for himself as a Broadway star and rising TV personality, was as charming as he was complicated. Jones, at just 22 years old, was about to become one of Hollywood's most beloved leading ladies, known for her beautiful voice and wholesome beauty. Their marriage seemed at first to be a glamorous Hollywood love story filled with promise, creativity, and mutual respect. Together, they built a family, having 3 sons, Sean, Patrick, and Ryan Cassidy, each of whom would later pursue careers in the entertainment business. Following in their parents' artistic footsteps, Jones also became stepmother to David Cassidy, Jack's son from his previous marriage to actress Evelyn Ward. David would later become world famous as a teen idol on The Partridge Family, starring alongside Shirley. Their blended family, while blessed with talent and opportunity, was also marked by the tensions, challenges, and intense personalities that often come with show business and complicated marriages. Eventually, Jones and Cassidy's marriage fell apart, and after nearly 2 decades together, they divorced in 1975, though they were legally separated. Their bond would remain emotionally powerful for Jones, shaping her personal life for decades to come. After the difficult end of her marriage to Cassidy, Shirley found love again in a relationship that surprised many. On November 13, 1977, she married actor and comedian Marty Ingalls, a man whose crazy sense of humor and quirky personality was very different from her poised and elegant style. Their marriage was, by all accounts, unusual, and Ingalls himself often described it as an odd couple relationship. The two even wrote an autobiography together called Shirley and Marty, An Unlikely Love Story, which told their ups and downs with honesty and humor. Their partnership was marked by moments of trouble, including separations and getting back together. In 2002, Jones even filed for divorce, but later took back the petition, showing the deep, sometimes frustrating, bond they shared. Despite the challenges, the marriage lasted for nearly 4 decades, kept going by their commitment to each other and Ingalls' persistent devotion to his wife. When Ingalls passed away on October 21, 2015 from a massive stroke, Jones was devastated. Looking back on their life together, she openly admitted that, though her husband often drove her crazy with his antics and unpredictability, her love for him never wavered. She touchingly said, "There's not a day I won't miss him and love him to my core," revealing how deep their lasting affection was, despite their differences. But the shadow of her first great love, Jack Cassidy, never fully left her. On the evening of December 11, 1976, Shirley Jones experienced a haunting and tragic moment. Only months after rejecting Jack's offer to get back together, an offer that hinted at his lingering love for her, she was told that his penthouse apartment had caught fire. The fire, it was later found out, had been caused by a cigarette Jack had lit before falling asleep on the couch. By the next morning, firefighters found his body in the wreckage, and news of his death shocked Jones to her core. For her, the tragedy wasn't just losing her former husband, but losing a man who, despite their stormy relationship, remained the most important influence in her life. In a 1983 newspaper interview, Jones confessed with raw honesty that Cassidy had wanted to come back to her until the very day he died, and that in her heart, she too had wanted the same thing. "That's the terrible part," she admitted. "Much as I love Marty and have a wonderful relationship, I'd say this with Marty sitting here, I'm not sure if Jack were alive. I'd be married to Marty. These words showed the deep and complicated